show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's July 29th, 2021. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And Matt, we might as well start with the most exciting news of all, and that is the commitment of wide receiver Isaiah Horton, one that we've anticipated for quite some time now at CaneSport.com. And it finally came to fruition, a big athletic wide receiver that Miami can build around. And good news any way you slice it and dice it.
Yeah, I love this commitment because he's not, they only need so many small, fast guys. I mean, it's great to have fast guys, great to have, shifty guys. But this is one of those bigger, more physical receivers. They're a little bit harder to find nowadays, it seems like, in the modern day of college football. But you need them because you have to keep defenses honest. If a defense has all small cornerbacks, this kid's going to kill them. So I love that they have diversity among their wide receiver group. This kid's going to help that.
All right, so obviously we have the story on the commitment this morning, and we also have a real talk. T. Frank, our analyst, took a close look at Isaiah Horton, and we bring you that real talk analysis on the website as well. So everybody, I think, will enjoy both of those features and get to know Isaiah Horton a little bit better. All right, so let's move on. Obviously, a big commitment, but let's just stay on recruiting for a minute. Big weekend coming up this weekend. Miami's going to have a pool party, and we're still putting together the list of recruits that are going to be there. We'll talk about that as the week goes on. But there's a trio that we know are coming down and are going to be there. They're from Alabama, and they're spearheaded by Traquan Fagans, a defensive back who we've talked about a little bit. Alabama's kind of had him on the side burner. It's not looking like he's going to get an Alabama offer anytime soon. So things are really heating up with the Canes. We think there's a great chance that he commits either on this weekend visit this weekend or shortly thereafter, and that will give Miami a third big-time corner in this recruiting class. A recurring theme, T-Rob and DVD, just continuing to do an amazing job of recruiting. All right, so you got this trio of guys, Fagan coming down, and he's bringing with him Tony Mitchell, who's a 2023 kid who's also a stud, and that's going to be one to keep a real strong eye on this weekend. And Matt, getting these kids from the state of Alabama to come down for a pool party is a big coup for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, and I mean, some fans don't realize, but they have to pay their own way, whether it's driving or whatever, pay their own food aside from the pool party. So it's not like they're just coming down to have fun and an expense-paid vacation. These are kids who are serious about Miami. Want to learn more about the program. Fagans comes on board as expected. You got to think there'll be some inroads. Maybe with his high school, maybe with some other Alabama kids, it'll be more comfortable coming down. People always wonder, well, why aren't they going to Alabama? I mean, Traquan does not have an Alabama offer as of right now, but you know what? It's okay to get to not have an Alabama offer and still be really, really, really good. I mean, obviously Alabama is the level Miami's trying to get to right now, and you can build it with guys like this. Who have really huge upside. And yesterday I did talk to a bunch of other guys who are coming. Tyler Aronson's a 2024 QB who's coming, and he's excited to hang out with Ja'Cory Brown, who texted me that he's going to definitely be there. Also, he's actually coming in that morning, so he'll be there as long as the airline doesn't screw up his flights, like my flight was screwed up a couple of weeks ago. Flantia Carswell told me yesterday he's going to be there. Wesley DeSaints previously told us he'll be there. Chris Graves told me yesterday he's going to be there. So, I mean, Najee Kelly's supposed to be there. So, I mean, there's a lot of kids, who are going to be there. It's not like the barbecue in the beginning of June, but I think there's going to be, a good double-digit number of top recruits that are going to be on hand. So it's going to be a fun day, hopefully for them, and hopefully, for the Miami Hurricanes, it'll be a good day with at least getting the Traquan commit. Also, I spoke to Robbie Washington yesterday. And he did confirm for us that he's not an official commitment, is how he put it, because a lot of people keep asking us, oh, is Robbie Washington committed? He said he committed. He did tell me yesterday he's not officially a commitment, but he did talk to T-Rob, and that T-Rob said when he gets on campus, they'll decide if he can become an official commitment. He's also coming with his twin brother, Bobby, and Robbie's looking to transfer to Miami Killian. So they're going to be teammates in high school. They want to play in college together, so the hang up there is, Will, Bobby, commit also, because they want to play in college together. Does Miami take a commitment from Robbie, not knowing what Bobby's going to do? And I did talk to Bobby yesterday, and Bobby said he's in no rush to commit anywhere. He only has 2 offers. He wants to see what else he gets. So I'm very curious to see what happens there. So, you mentioned the pool party. Well, I'm sure there'll be more people we confirm that'll be coming as the next couple of days go on. We'll keep bringing that to you on Good Morning CaneSport and the front page stories for anybody who's important. Obviously. So, but the Alabama kids, getting back to that, absolutely. It's great to have them coming down. Out-of-state kids are very important to get to these because you expect the local kids to come. I mean, it's around the corner. They're not paying for anything. I mean, they're just showing up, having some nice food splashing around. It doesn't mean they're coming. You get an out-of-state kid paying a little bit of money and dedicating his time to getting down here. That means they're pretty interested in Miami. So that's a really good sign.
Yeah, no doubt. And, Fagans is obviously the more pressing one to watch right now because he's on commit watch with us. And, we should, you're okay with taking an Alabama kid that isn't going to Alabama because Bama is recruiting the cream of the crop around the country. They're the 4th cornerback on their chart is going to be very high up on Miami's chart, Miami's board, no question about it. So, but it shouldn't be construed as a guarantee. I mean, we've been down this road before. We saw Christian Williams flame out here at Miami after a similar situation where Bama was recruiting them and didn't take them. So there's no guarantees here whatsoever. But Fagans looks to us like a really good prospect, and to go with Graves, I think and Rogers, that you really couldn't hope for a better cornerback class in this recruiting cycle. And that means nothing but obviously good things for the Canes, especially when you look at where they are at the safety position and how even with the just the Avante Williams disappointment of last week, they're still pretty loaded at safety with good prospects. Plenty of guys. So you got to like where things are at the defensive back position for the Canes. Now they got to get D-line and linebacker and O-line and all the other areas of the team up to that level. And then Miami will be at the point where it can compete for the ACC title. All right, staying on recruiting. I just mentioned offensive line, Matt, and things don't appear to be going quite as well at that position as they are at defensive back. And it looks like that Garen Justice is now starting to expand his base a little bit. We're seeing some new offers going out and coming in. We had the 2 kids from Clearwater last week that visited that we spoke about. And now another an offer has gone out to Pittsburgh commit from Jacksonville Bowls, Bradley Mann. And he might visit this weekend as well for the barbecue. And, obviously the Miami offer from Justice got his attention this week. So we've got a story on that for everybody on the website this morning as well. Okay.
I'll also
go ahead.
Real quick. So he got an offer last week. It's a Pittsburgh commitment, and he's playing defensive line this year, but Miami likes him for offensive line. Pitt took him as an athlete. But, the interesting thing here is, Miami had been pursuing like Leighton Nelson. I spoke to Leighton Nelson yesterday. He's actually going to visit Florida and not Miami in July, this open week, is what he told me yesterday. So, it looks like that ship has probably sailed because he says it's going to go ahead and announce in early August between 4 schools. Miami's one of them, but I mean, he didn't have a great official visit. He was supposed to come back so, they could sort of make it up to him or whatever the case may be. The official visit didn't go as well as maybe he had hoped, he said at the time, because there were so many other recruits. He didn't get the personalized attention he was hoping for. And he had told me a few weeks ago, this is going to be his chance to really get to know Coach Justice better. So the fact he's not coming, not a good sign. And then you combine that with the fact they just offered a new offensive lineman. You sort of read between the lines there. They're still trying to find another guy or two at that position on the offensive line. This is sort of a, it always looks like a plan B thing when you go to a kid committed somewhere else, late offer, so to speak, compared to other offers. Kid who plays defensive line this year and has been playing defensive line and some offensive line in the past. So, it is what it is. But Garen Justice has a history of turning 3-stars into really good players. And, you could point to Zion Nelson and others in the past as an example of that. So I'm not concerned about it at all, but just that's sort of where we stand right now with that.
All right. So That's on the recruiting front. Now we'll tell you about a few other things that are on the website this morning. They're not recruiting related. Our series looking at 2021 opponents continues today with a look at a big one, and that's North Carolina. Obviously, that's going to be one of the key games of the 2021 season. So you could start to get a feel for what North Carolina is going to look like when Miami visits later in the year. And another story that I think everyone's going to really like is an analysis of the whole schedule, a different analysis, which essentially comes to the conclusion that there's only one team on the schedule that you could say going into the year that should comfortably beat Miami, and we know who that is. So the bottom line, Matt, is, and we kind of have touched on this, and I think people know this by now, is that this season is one of opportunity for Manny Diaz, because this is a very manageable schedule. They are going to have a chance. They're going to go into every game favored or very close to on the line, and it's right there for them to put up a good record this year, which would probably earn Manny an extension from Blake James and give him a little bit more comfort, I'll use the word, in his head coaching spot at Miami. That the feeling that things are moving in the right direction, even if they don't win the ACC. So, the fans are not going to be happy till Miami's winning championships again. But this is a year of opportunity for Manny Diaz.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, it's like Groundhog Day. I mean, it's like over and over again. It's the same movie. Like every year, it seems like they out-talent almost everyone on the schedule, and they lose 4 to 6 games. Like I don't understand why this keeps happening. But before the season, you look on paper, and Miami's better than everyone else, except for maybe one team on the whole schedule, and then they just lose some games they shouldn't lose, like on paper. And I mean, I don't. If I could put my finger on it, I'm sure coaches will be able to also and fix it. But this goes back certainly through Mark Richt and Al Golden, probably even predates that, where they just keep losing these games they shouldn't. I mean, is this the year where that stops? I don't know, but you can read that story and feel real good, but then you can also look at what's happened in the last 10 to 15 years with every team that should have won 10 games on paper, and they don't. And I don't know when it's going to click, and that they're just going to finally, be really, really good. I was talking to somebody about it the other day. It just seems like what's really off, and it looks like it's going to happen again this year, is one year the offense will be great, but then the defense will be average. The next year the offense will be average and the defense will be great. And they can't get them to mesh where
can't put it all together at one time.
Yeah, defense is great that year and the offense is great that year. I mean, you take the Miami defense from just a few years ago when the team wasn't great, and you put it with the offense from last year, and you're going to have a really good team that's playing for the ACC championship. But when you say on paper they're only going to lose one game, well, on paper their defense to me is maybe going to be worse than last year. I personally think it won't be as good as last year's defense, just because you lose those top 2 ends, and I don't know that these guys are going to be as good as that. I don't think they will be, and you just bring back everyone else. I don't see right now the plan for coaches to start anybody who's really risen above anyone else. When you look at the spring game, you saw they were still starting, for instance, I think it was BJ Jennings at linebacker. Those young guys didn't break through. So until I see it, I'm not going to predict something else. So if the defense is just as good as last year, which was to me an average defense, maybe a little above average, it's certainly terrible in games like North Carolina. If the offense is improved, they'll be a little better than last year, but I didn't think last year they were a championship team. So it needs to get to that level where it's championship defense, championship offense, and not just one or the other.
Well, it's an interesting situation, and I'm sure we'll be talking more about it as the fall continues and we see how the games unfold. But you're getting at the point now where Manny's in his 3rd year, and I mean, they haven't won anything yet. You feel like the program in some ways is taking moves forward. But the catch-22, if there's nothing that's won this year, it's going to put Blake James in a tough spot, in my opinion, because he's going to have to make a decision on just what the standards are of the program, and obviously you don't want to start all over again, and those kind of things. If you're going to do that, you better darn sure make sure you got somebody really, really good that you're bringing in, because you can't just keep starting over. And like you said, it could just continue to be this vicious cycle. So this is a big year for Miami football. There's no doubt about it. We're looking forward to it. I think, we were talking about this on the message board the other day, that the fans should be excited and be so-called pumpers right now, because it's the beginning of a new season. You got a clean slate. You got a clean opportunity. You got a very good quarterback in De'Ara King, which is not something that you have all the time. It's looking like you might have a couple good players, growing up behind him for the future. So there are some things to build on here and some things to feel positive about. And you might as well get over the past, because the past is gone. And, last year was a building block, getting the 8 wins. And you got to see if they can continue to build upon that this year. So it's going to be fun every step of the way. We're just over a week away from the start of training camp. Obviously, we're looking forward to that. We'll have so much more to talk about as we move forward between now and then. So for now, we'll say everybody, have a great day, and we'll be back at you soon. And goodbye, everybody.